Hi and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Megan, and on this channel you'll find weekly videos somehow related to travel. In today's video, we'll be talking about how to effectively search on Google Flights, including filters and features, as well as answering common questions like if taxes are included in the price or how to change the currency. There's a lot of talk about using this time now to plan your next adventure, and about the incredible travel deals to come when ever travel opens up again. However, these deals are no good to us if we don't know where or how to search for them. Tuning in for the next 10 minutes could end up saving you hundreds on your next adventure and prepare you to snag the very best travel deals in the coming months. Start by opening up Google Flights in your browser. This is going to be a basic overview, perfect for someone that is new to Google Flights or that is new to searching and booking travel online altogether. I'll go through all the features and filters that make Google Flights the most powerful tool for finding cheap flights. Once you have Google Flights open, scroll all the way to the bottom and just check that the language, country, and currency is correct. I have Canadian, but for the purposes of this video, I will be using USD. A basic flight search is going to consist of your departure, your destination, your dates, your trip type, the passenger count, and then the fare class. When it comes to your departure and then also your destination, you can put in an entire city, an airport, a country, or even a whole region. Something that I particularly love about Google Flights is that you can actually search multiple locations. So you can search up to 6 different departure and 6 different arrival cities. So by doing that, you just add another one, type in anywhere else you may want to go. This is great if you're between multiple destinations and you haven't decided and want to see what the best flights are. And also great if you happen to live near multiple airports. So in my case, I would put Ottawa, but I would also consider flights out of Montreal, depending on what was going to be the best deal. Now when you search, Google Flights is going to search every single combination between Ottawa, Bangkok, Ottawa, Hanoi, Montreal, Bangkok, Montreal, Hanoi, and so on to find you the best price. And then it's going to give you the suggested flights listed in order of preference here. And then just so you know, the price that you're seeing, this US dollars 741, is going to be the total price for the entire trip. So from your home to your destination, back to your home again, with all of the taxes included. The price that you see is the price that you will pay. To keep this simple, I'm going to leave the search in at just Ottawa to Bangkok. I want to show you that as we go through and we change these different features, it's going to be updating the price automatically. As you can see, it already is here. Next, you can look at the type of trip. Round trip, which is from your home to your destination, back to your home again, is typically going to be the cheapest way to book. You can also look at doing a one-way flight, which is quite self-explanatory, and then also a multi-city. Multi-city is great if you want to go away and then explore multiple locations. So you may go Ottawa to Bangkok, Bangkok to Hanoi, and then add a flight that's going to take you from Hanoi back home again. By booking a flight like this, you may think it's going to be more expensive, but it's often not. It's usually cheaper to book multi-city than it is to book multiple one-way flights. As I mentioned before, a simple round trip is probably going to get you the best deal. Then you also want to look at passenger count. If you are traveling as more than one person, definitely input it now. It would suck if you searched for a flight, got the price for it, booked the flight, then realized it was the last ticket and your travel partner couldn't come with you. As we're updating these filters, the prices are going to be updating here. So in this case, if you're searching a round trip flight for 2 passengers, this is going to be the total price for both of you to fly to the destination and home again in the currency that you selected at the bottom. Next, we have the fare class. Unfortunately, you can only select one of these to search at a time. If you're looking for the cheapest flights, you're going to want to stick with just economy. The final factor of a basic search is going to be your dates. So you'll click this blue calendar right here, and you'll first want to reset the dates. And then you'll notice that departure date has been highlighted. This is where Google Flights can really show you that just by changing your dates by one day, you can end up saving hundreds of dollars. The numbers that you see here in green are going to be the total price for the round trip, and the ones that are in green are the ones that Google is telling you is the best deal for that departure date based on the length of your trip, which you can change down here. Let's say you have a 1-week vacation. This is a short vacation to go to Bangkok, but for this example, it will be fine. So you have 7 days to play with. If you can leave any time during this week, you would select the 4th because it's going to be the cheapest flight. Once you click on it, you'll now notice that the return date is highlighted, and then the prices that you're seeing are going to be the round trip price if you were to return on that day. So exactly 7 days later, we're getting the cheapest flight here at $776 US. If you are happy with that flight, you would click on it and then hit done. So we're now searching Ottawa to Bangkok for 1 passenger on a round trip in economy for these specific dates. And then these are going to be the best flights, the cheapest flights that Google is recommending to us. If you are flexible with your dates or with your trip length, you're going to love the date grid and the price graph. We'll start with the date grid. This is probably my favorite feature on all of Google Flights. What they have along the top here is a full week of when you could possibly depart, and then down on the y-axis is going to be all of your possible return dates. If you decide you can leave later or sooner, return sooner, you can change these and just play around. What Google Flights is doing here is they're showing you in red the most expensive, gray the ones in the middle, and then green the ones we want to pay attention to, which is going to be the cheapest round trip price, all taxes included. Google Flights goes a step further and is going to highlight in green the best deals on the page that you're viewing. You'll want to look for the flights that are green and then highlighted in green. And when you select on that, it's going to be the intersection of the x-axis and the y-axis that is going to be your departure and your arrival. So here we would be leaving on February 3rd and we would be returning back home on February 11th. And those look like they're the best prices for our date range. Next, you can look at the price graph. The price graph is great if you have flexibility on your dates, but you have to have a specific trip length. If you know you have 7 days of vacation to use, but you can use that vacation anytime, you can then set the trip length to 7 days, and you'll be able to see what days would be the cheapest for you to go and take this trip to Bangkok. So here it would make sense if we were leaving on Tuesday the 4th, and then any of these days here would also be cheap if you wanted to leave later on the 24th of February and so on. You can easily see based on your trip length when it is going to be the cheapest time to take that vacation. Next here we have airports. So it's telling you if there's airports that are nearby your destination. So we're flying into Bangkok's main airport here, but there's another airport that's about a 40-minute drive away from the main airport, which is Dong Muang International. So you can also click Add Airport here, and it's going to get you the best price for the 2 of these. So if it's cheaper to fly into Dong Muang, they will show you flights that are flying into Dong Muang. I can guarantee it's not going to be cheaper because they do a lot of domestic flights and flights around Asia. Just gonna leave that for now. And then finally up here you have tips. Tips usually doesn't help you with booking cheap flights, but it may give you some insight into the destination that you're going to. For now, we're just going to ignore this. All of these options, the nearby airports, price graph, and date grid, can be found here as well. Another great feature with Google Flights is if you scroll down a little bit more and hit the drop-down arrow here, it's going to tell you what the price is in comparison to the history of this exact flight on this dates. It's going to give you some insight into whether or not it's a good time to book this flight. Sometimes you can wait 1 day and the flight is going to jump by a couple $100, and then you come back the next day and it's $300 cheaper. It really depends. So here it's showing you the price history, so you can see over time historically about how much people are paying for this exact same flight. At the moment it's telling us the prices are relatively typical, and because this flight is coming up in a week from now, it's probably only going to be getting more and more expensive if you were to wait. It would be a pretty good time to be booking this flight today. If you're not ready to book, you can also head up here and you can use the track prices feature. It's going to monitor the lowest price for this trip, and then it will send you a price alert by email anytime there's a price change. By putting it on, you're now subscribed, so if this flight suddenly went down to $700, you would be immediately notified and you'd be able to book it on the spot. You may not see this track prices option if you are not logged into your Google account. Next, I'll briefly run through these filters and why they're actually quite important to pay attention to depending on your own situation. If you are planning to bring multiple bags with you, add them here. It's now going to give you the best price based on that number of bags. Sometimes an airline will end up charging you $60, $70 to bring extra bags with you, so Google Flights is going to give you the best price for the number of bags that you need. Stops is going to be how many layovers you have. Direct flights would be no stops only. They're going to be the fastest, but also the most expensive. It's great out here because there are, unfortunately, no direct flights from Ottawa to Bangkok. Here you have to decide if the money is more worth it to you or if the time is more worth it to you. The more stops, the more time consuming it's going to be. I also have heard a statistic that about 80% of complications with the airplane happen on takeoff and landing. So the more stops you have, the more chance there is for a complication. Just something else to think about. Here you can decide which airlines or which alliances you would like to book with specifically, and then it will only show you those flights. You can select only if you only wanted to fly with Air Canada, then you can go through and choose any others that you'd like. You can select all airlines or none. And then if you collect points with a specific alliance, you can filter it so they only show flights with that alliance. Price, here you can set the maximum you're willing to pay. I usually don't touch this. I just look at what Google is suggesting and see the lowest prices. Times might be important if there is a certain time of day that you're able to leave by, if you don't want to leave overnight, for example, too. And then if there's a specific time that you need to be at your arrival destination, maybe you have a dinner to make or a conference. You can do the same for your return. Connecting airports. Stopover duration is going to be how long you're willing to spend at a single layover. Layovers can be 24 hours, 48 hours, 5 hours. So you can set a specific maximum amount. By leaving any, you're opening yourself up to finding the cheapest flights, although you may end up with an unreasonably long layover. I like to leave all of them just to see all of my options. As for connecting airports, I also actually do use this feature. I often won't want to fly through the US if my final destination is outside of the US, because when you buy health insurance, it sometimes jumps the price just because you're traveling through a US airport. So I may filter out US. Last option here is the flight duration. So it's how long you're willing to spend in transit. This is not the flight duration of one specific flight or how long you're in the air for. It's going to be the length of your total trip. So here, for example, the total trip duration is 25 hours and 20 minutes from when the airplane takes off in Ottawa to when it arrives and touches down in Bangkok, including my stop in Toronto and in Japan. The total trip length will be 25 hours, including all of those flights and all of those layovers. I often will filter because sometimes you can find a very cheap flight, but it's going to give you a layover somewhere of 24 hours, which means you're having to book a hotel anyway, and that will end up costing you whatever you end up saving on that ticket. The final option here is to show separate tickets or to hide separate tickets. Here you can determine whether or not you're open to flying on separately booked tickets. For example, you would fly out to a destination on one airline and then return home to your destination on another airline. Or you may fly part of your trip with one airline and then the next part with another airline. The only thing is that the ticket is going to be booked separately. That means you would have to check in for the flight separately. It means you wouldn't be able to go straight through connections if your second leg was with a different airline. You would need to go through security all over again, and you would need to get your bag and then recheck your bag. So it's up to you. I usually leave show separate tickets as highlighted. It will only show you separate ticket booking if the price is going to be significantly cheaper. So I usually leave it selected, but I'm rarely ever shown the option. If it is going to be a separate ticket, you will be made aware that it is a separate ticket. One other thing to note here is that if you do end up adding multiple departures or arrival airports, if you put those in and you pull up the price graph or the date grid, it's now showing you the best prices for every combination of departure and every combination of arrival. Google Flights is by far the most flexible tool to find and book the best flight deals. It's been my go-to for years and has scored me half a dozen round trips to Asia for under $700 each. In an effort not to completely overload you with information, in my next video, I'll be covering how to actually make a booking, as well as answering questions like if flights are refundable, and including bonus tips to make sure that you always get the best deal. Let me know in the comments if you've ever used Google Flights to search for deals. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Thank you. And then hit subscribe so we can meet back here again next week. Have a good one. Bye.